Hello, back on track with Breath of Air today. Now, despite the fact that in the last video I talked about doing some experimental keyboard work and re-recording guitars, and had all sorts of lofty ideas, all of that's completely gone by the by. We've been forced to self-isolate for the past week. Nobody's ill, everyone's fine, but so while we've been at home, we've just taken the opportunity to do some vocal work. So Pauline sung a load of vocals and we've got basically everything finished. The vocals are now finished. So let's play what we've got and then we'll come back and have a chat about it. Finally got round to recording my fade out. It takes 30 seconds and saves so much grief. What have we got? Well, the first idea I had that I referred to in my last video was a complete bust. It was to re-record or to record a brand new melody, a second totally and distinct melody from scratch, and then layer the two together. The problem was that when I was coming up with the notes for it, I wasn't paying sufficient attention to the existing one. I was basically literally creating a new melody from scratch, which meant there were parts where those two melodies were 1 or 2 semitones apart, and that's just too close. There aren't many occasions, in my opinion, everything is obviously subjective, but 1 and 2 semitone separation of notes is really dodgy territory. You've got to be very careful about doing it. You move one of those notes an octave away and make it 10 or 11 notes apart instead, then you've got major sevenths and sevenths and it sounds awesome. But when the two notes are actually chromatically close, then you get dissonance. And we've got a great barometer for this, because when Pauline's singing this stuff, she struggles to hit those notes because she sings over the top of the existing melody, has that in the background as an anchor, and she almost always struggles to hit something if it's dissonant. So I've got my own kind of litmus paper. Pauline is the litmus test for whether or not the harmonies are actually any good. If she struggles to sing them, we've got to throw them away. It means there's something wrong with them. So after a bit of tinkering anyway, I came to the conclusion that was just completely ridiculous. You can't write melodies, they're not standalone. The whole idea of harmony is that it builds on an existing foundation. While we were doing all of that, as a matter of interest, is this Voc 2 line down here. That was the second melody line. And as you can see, masses of it ended up getting thrown away. And so the phrases that survived are the ones that you hear, and there's actually just complete... It's been rendered in the meantime, so it's a single part, but this was at one point an entire melody line. So while we were doing all of that, I kept going back to the original... What's now called secondary vocal was the first vocal line that was actually recorded, and I just decided I didn't like it enough for it to be the main line, and I can't quite put my finger on why. Let's have a listen to it in complete isolation. I'll take the delay away and also all the inserts.
Cloudless skies may roll, carry me on.
Now I know it's quieter than the...
Cloudless skies may roll, carry me on.
than the version that we recorded the other day, which is this.
Cloudless skies may roll, carry me on.
So it's difficult to compare.
Cloudless skies may roll, carry me on.
Could be microphone placement, could be... I don't know what. A lot of the time, whenever you're dealing with an organic instrument, the voice, the guitar, whatever it happens to be, some days just sound better than others. I think Pauline's performance was fine, but I was just not happy with the recording of it. Maybe I just got something wrong, had the microphone in the wrong place. So we decided, because we had this time on our hands during isolation, that we'd just do a second one anyway. So Pauline sang this second line, and it gave me the opportunity to fix the opening line of the song, which is now Snowblind and Tongue-Tied, which I think is a much better opening line than the previous one. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to fix that. And it was definitely one of those deep breath moments. We could very easily have just left the old line. It takes so much time to record an entire vocal line for a song and then process it afterwards. It's really easy to just say, you know what, I just can't be arsed. But I'm glad we did, because this new vocal line is just strictly better. Really, really happy with it. And the original one, which wasn't fundamentally flawed in any way, I just had this kind of niggling thing, is absolutely fine as a secondary vocal. And when we bring the two together, don't forget that singing exactly the same thing.
Cloudless skies may roll, carry me on.
There's really not a lot wrong with that, is there?
Cloudless skies may roll, carry.
And that's the extra, the secondary harmony line underneath. So, yeah, just a complete win. I think from that point onwards, deciding to do this extra line.
Down to the harbour and home, where the lost souls still sing along.
Everything just came together.
Hold on, just one moment, and like the swell of the ocean,
A little bit of panning.
To the sound of our hearts.
And the secondary vocal is central. So that's all very well and good for that. Excellent stuff. And then obviously at the end where we approach our crescendo, I wanted the kitchen sink approach. Throw everything I've got at it, or everything that Pauline's got, more accurately. And so we end up with...
Be my breath of that tonight. Be my breath of that forever.
Great stuff. That was using, that was edited using the audio alignment panel, which I've used a couple of times in the past, but more often than not, I actually forget it's there. There has to be a certain kind of critical density of work to do for my brain to remember that this thing is here. You basically choose one track as your reference. If I chose that event there, add that as your alignment reference, and then choose everything else as your targets, and it basically audio warps everything, aligns everything up, and generally does a pretty good job. Every now and again I've seen it get something hopelessly wrong and you just undo and fix it yourself, but yeah, it works pretty well. Doesn't seem to fix ends particularly well. I tend to have to go in and fix the ends myself, but the starts it gets pretty much spot on and just saves me the effort of manually doing that stuff. The guitars are sat on the sidelines because I've recently bought a UA aux, so I'm just figuring out how it works, getting comfortable with it, learning all of its various settings and finding out how to make it even more awesome than it sounds right out of the box. It is just absolutely awesome tool. So once I'm ready with that, pretty much now really, I've spent the last couple of weeks getting to grips with it, I'll start thinking about what I'm going to do with the guitar lines. And because the new toy has arrived and it's just all about the guitar at the moment, keyboards just aren't getting a look in, that they're just going to have to wait their turn. So there you go. I wanted to get this in front of you because Harmonies, vocals are such an important part of the song. You know, it's what really binds the thing together and makes it a song. I was really pleased with the progress that we made on that this week, so I wanted to get that in the book, and then we'll, like I say, move on to work on the guitars next. Thanks very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, hit notifications. You'll be sure not to miss the episode when the guitars arrive. Yeah, thanks very much. See you later.